Hi, Alice.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining the first episode of our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's such
Pleasure
an
to be
honor
here.
to have you. You've been a person that helped me a lot in my life. I can say that you helped me grow and become the woman that I am today. I met you in 2019, and the first time I came into your spa, I didn't know that that place would open so many doors and so many layers of myself that I didn't know at that time. So I'm very grateful for you to be here. I want you to introduce yourself and say who you are, because you're Alice, of course. You're a mom today. You're married. You have so many different parts of you that I would like people to know. You're a teacher, a massage therapist, and there's so many other things that I would like you to introduce yourself, and then we can dive into herbalism, which is the main topic of our conversation today.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me here. It's such an honor to be able to be here with you and have these very important conversations. My name's Alessandra, and in 20, gosh, when did I start? I think that I decided that I needed like a major life change, and I was around 2009, 2008, and I really wanted to explore what I could offer for myself and in my community. And then in 2012, I opened the spa that I run now on Queen Street, and it's evolved a lot. So we
Amazing spa for massages. I go there bi-weekly when I can, and it's amazing. The place represents you. When we walk into it, it's you that I see in every spot, in the colors, in the every details in the spa is a representation of you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a thing of that's evolved over the years. We started mostly doing aesthetics, and then we heard what the community was asking for, and eventually it transformed into mostly a healing sanctuary where we're offering massage therapy, but also very unique treatments that you can't really find most places in the city. So I love that. And I'm also a student of Chinese medicine. I'm a practicing herbalist, traditional herbalist. And I'm a mom of one beautiful boy and a wife. So yeah, those are the things that I do. They're all very, I'm very passionate about learning and keeping my energy moving towards becoming more knowledgeable about the human body and about how to take care of ourselves and tend to our bodies and our minds. So it's gonna keep going. So we'll see where I land with that.
Perfect. So today I wanted to start by, just having a chat with you where we're going to talk about your holistic and wellness journey, when it started, why it started, and if you can explain a little bit about what is herbalism, why it's important in your life, and why do you think it's important for other people to be introduced to it?
Well, herbalism is, a tradition that has been passed down for hundreds and thousands of years in every country, in every community, and dates back, 5,000 years plus, where, people were using herbs to treat conditions before Western medicine was developed in ancient traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda. And over the years, it's been a little bit of a lost skill, and it's becoming more and more of a buzzword now to study herbalism and learn about plants. And I think it's really important because it allows people to not only understand how to treat things in their home and have access to safe medicine that is available to them in any kind of situation in their own home and in their communities. And so I do feel it's important for people to stay with the knowledge and share it with the people they know and pass it down, the line of generations and lineages in their own cultures. And the reason why I got into herbalism is there were a couple of reasons that drew me to doing this practice. One of them was that in the history of my own family, my grandmother was a town herbalist in a time in Brazil that was kind of shunned and not really legal. But she was providing medicine to the women in her community under the radar. And I really feel that having a medicine woman in your town or in your city or someone that is in your community is invaluable and can really be life-saving sometimes in cases of emergencies. And so I feel that empowered me to push forward and understand better about how plants can support us. I also come from a tribe in Brazil, in the Amazonian, in the Amazon and the Amazonian natives, where one of their main things were that they were foragers and they worked with plants. So I wanted to tap into that a little bit deeper and bring that back into my own life. And lastly, I think the main driving force was that I was undergoing some serious health issues. And it felt like everywhere I turned, there was some confusion about the realities of what I was going through and how I could be helped, what the treatment plan was. And I was feeling a little bit neglected with allopathic healthcare, and I wanted to, in some ways, take matters into my own hand and understand better about how the small things that I could do to bring medicine into my life for my own personal health and well-being. And so that was, I think, the main driving force. It was the final nail in the coffin, or the final straw that really pushed me to bring this knowledge into my life and to better understand how plants can work with our bodies and in the most gentle way and safe way, and slow medicine in the slowest way, but in which I believe is more powerful and sustainable.
So I'm sure a lot of people don't really know about herbalism. What would be the best way to tap into it, or to learn about it, or to get to know the plants that they might need to get to know or get introduced to? What is a way? I know for myself, I just went to your workshops and did a lot of research, and I come also from a family where herbal medicine is in our culture because I'm Berber. But for people who don't have that background, that don't know anything about herbs, what would be the best introduction to learn just a little bit? Because I think it's essential for every single person, not only women, but everyone to know a little bit about what is available to us. And I think that we don't have a lot of knowledge unless you go and search for it.
I think first and foremost is allow your curiosity to take place, to get curious about life in general, and to want to have this like driving force behind you, where you feel empowered. I think that's like the passion and the feeling of being empowered is very important. to get curious about the plants that are growing around you, no matter where you are in the world, because the plants that are growing in your backyard or in, you know, the area in which you're living are the ones that are going to be the greatest ally. You know, there is an understanding and belief in saying in herbalism that the plants will show up for you. The plants that you need will show up for you. And so having a look around and seeing what's around you, and then getting curious about who they are and what they do and why they're there. Another powerful way is to connect to the ancestral plants. So in every single culture and community, herbalism and working with plants is prevalent. Like, it's been there. We've all of our ancestors have used plants as herbs as food and medicine. And so connecting to that, and I'm sure even if you're not really taking herbs, you are familiar with some plants that maybe your mother used or your grandmother used that can feel very nostalgic. And that feeling of nostalgia is you know, a strong symbol and sign as to what your soul is desiring, what your soul is calling, and what feels good in your body and your soul. So connecting with family members, asking your mother or your grandmother about what kind of plant is this, and it could be plants and food. Like some cultures use grape leaves to wrap, you know, to wrap their food, and grape leaves are very medicinal. And so seeing herbs as not just a tea that you're drinking, but also becoming aware of how we're using plants to eat them, how we're using them as food and medicine.
What is the plant that your plant ally or the plant that you work with that really transformed you or made a huge impact in your life? I know we will talk later about one that is my favorite that I've been working for years with, but which one, if we had to talk about one and introduce it, which one would it be?
Okay, so there's so many.
It's gonna be hard to choose.
It's so tough. It's so tough. I think that, like, if I was gonna go back in history and think about the plant that like impacted me the strongest before I really dove into herbal medicine, in the way that, I mean, I'll explain the tea that we have now, and that's a huge plant for me. But the first plant, and the way that I kind of got into it was through essential oils, and how amazing, like how therapeutic and how incredibly potent they are for the body, and how our body and our cells respond to their therapeutic values so quickly. And for me, that was lavender. It was, so I know it's kind of like everybody knows lavender, and a lot of people work with lavender already, but I used to experience severe migraines, and lavender was the plant for me that allowed me to just get the rest that I needed when I was experiencing like headaches.
And how did you use the lavender? I know usually in the normal usage, people will, you know, buy candles with lavender essence or, you know, essential oils of lavender. Is there another way that you used it, or you used it in the typical...
Oh, there was so many ways that I used it, but I think that the way that felt the easiest for me, because, you know, when you're not feeling well, it's really hard to understand what to do to like take care of yourself so you could feel better, because your body is really distracted with the pain or whatever it is that the illness is manifesting in your body. So lavender essential oil, I would put it in my bath. I'd put drops in my bath, depending on how if I had the energy in my body. I would use the lavender in a steam, because I would get sinus migraines, so I felt like inhaling it was soothing the tissue and kind of sedating my body, because I felt that when I had pain that was that severe, the hardest part for me was to fall asleep because of the pain, but it's what I needed the most to recover. So I would use lavender in a face steam. I would maybe use some oil and massage areas of my face with the lavender. And sometimes I would just place it like this on my chest and massage it in, and then lie back and inhale it that way.
And that's when, so this is the first plant that you had a connection with, but you didn't know at that time that you were going and getting into.
Exactly. Okay. So I started studying herbalism at an actual school when I think I was 36, and I started working with essential oils when I was 22.
Okay.
So
there's a huge gap.
Yeah. So and of course I always drank teas and stuff like that, but it was mostly like because I felt that they tasted good, not because I actually really understood like what they were doing physiologically in my body. But the lavender I felt was like my greatest ally. Because when I was 22, I really didn't have a strong knowledge of how to support my body in a way that was going to be, beneficial long term. Like I didn't really know that like I needed to drink lots of water and whatever, eat the right food, and I just kind of thought that it was fine, and that I didn't really know about like connections between what we did in terms of like our food choices and sleep, how much sleep we received and how that connected to my overall health and how I was feeling. I didn't really understand it at that time. So a fasting to like allow me to treat what I was experiencing therapeutically, which was at that time most prevalent for me, my headaches, was lavender.
Perfect. So this is when you believe your journey with herbs started.
I believe that. I believe that, yeah.
So I was thinking maybe we can talk about, the nourishing herbs and how they can help with the nervous system and different things that you can share with us today.
Yeah, so herbalism is an ever-evolving art and skill. I think that we are students for life of herbalism, and even though I teach herbalism, I'm still learning a lot about it every day. But what I would say is probably the most important plants to start with would be the nourishing herbs and the wild weeds that are growing native in your community. So they are the ones that are providing like multivitamin to the entire body, and they are easier to absorb than taking a multivitamin pill because when we do herbal infusions, we're allowing all of the plant compounds to be extracted into the water. And so our body doesn't need to break down anything as if, we were taking a pill. Then our body needs to break that down. And if we have issues in our digestive system, then the absorption of those nutrients will be low. So doing a multivitamin infusion like nettles, burdock, red clover, oat straw, dandelion, those plants are all going to be super supportive for just giving your body the nutrients and minerals and vitamins that your body might be needing, and stabilize the system.
So if anyone wants to tap into herbs and plants and they want to have that in their daily, routine, they should start with nourishing herbs. So the one that you just stated, like nettles.
Yeah, I think that that's kind of the base of all of the herbs that we take. So I would say doing like a daily infusion of a multivitamin herb is very important. It's just like the kind of baseline for our nutrition. And then if there's something that the person is dealing with specifically, depending on, you know, what organ it's affecting, we would be recommending plants that are going to have a special affinity to that specific organ or system in the body.
And question that I have all the time, how long does it take for herbs to really kick in? Or like when do we start to see the benefits? Is it like 21 days? Is it 6 weeks?
It really doesn't, I don't believe that there's a time. I think some people feel the effects of the plants working very quickly, and it also depends on the plants. Some plants can be used acutely, like for example, skullcap. You would use skullcap for sleep, and you would feel your nervous system like get very quiet very quickly with skullcap, right? A plant like nettles, it might be cumulative. So nettles is a plant that's rich in iron, and so, or it helps build up iron stores in the body. And so drinking nettles over time, you'll feel the effects, but you couldn't feel it right away, maybe. It really depends on the person and the plant that they're working. Keeping in mind that plants have compounds that have an effect on our bodies, but we also have compounds in our bodies that are always changing, right? So it really, really depends on each individual's constitution and the plant they're taking and how it's being prepared.
If you had to pick 3 herbs, or what are the 3 herbs that you believe every single woman should have in their home for, you know, they need it. So which one would be?
That, yeah, so definitely a multivitamin. So I would say nettles for sure.
Which is my favorite.
Drinking nettles infusion, 1 quart a day. That's 3 cups would be really, really nice for supporting the nutrition, but also it's an adaptogen, so calming to the nervous system. It's really high in magnesium, zinc, vitamin C, protein, silica, so very supportive for hair, nails and skin, right? So that's definitely on my top 3 for women. I would also say red raspberry leaf tea.
This is a must, I believe, for everyone to have.
A must for every woman. Very supportive to the uterus and balancing to hormones, and just great overall for maintaining the tone of the uterus, supporting heavy bleeding and like uterine contractions during menstruation and pain. So that's a really great.
Should raspberry be taken through the entire month, or there are specific cycles where we need to focus on that herb?
I would say that you could take it every day. You could take it every day, or you know, you could take it around the period when it's starting to you're starting to feel it coming on. But it's one that is it's a food plant, so there's no issue with having it every day because we eat raspberries. It's also high in antioxidants, you know, so it's really great for the tissue.
Perfect.
And really we want to think about tissue states, right? So if a person has like heavy bleeding or a lot of blood clotting, for example, then the raspberry tea will help to dry the tissue, which will help to reduce menstrual heavy bleeding and also clotting. So that's really nice. And one that I can't live without, but is common in like everyone's kitchen, is ginger.
Ginger, I knew you would say it.
Yeah, ginger is a circulatory plant. Also helps to reduce spasms and pain in the body, and really great for women to warm us up and warm up the internal organs. So definitely.
And do you drink ginger morning, or you just drink it through the day?
I like to drink ginger first thing in the morning. So yeah, that's how I get my day started. Ginger. I also really like cinnamon with the ginger, and I feel like I'm a person that tends to be more damp and cold, and so drinking the ginger helps to like warm me up and like dry out dampness in my body.
Perfect. And for the men, because I am sure that there's a lot of men that would love, and I have around me a lot of men that ask me, Butena, what should I have? What should I get for myself? And I recommend, but from a professional and with your experience, what are the herbs that you think every man should have in their home as well?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like the herbs can be used across the board between men and women, but I think that maca for men is really great because maca helps to maintain the libido. It helps with hormone balancing in men as well. Cayenne pepper is nice for men, and that just maintains blood flow, especially as they're getting a little bit older, if there's a history of heart attack in the family, and they want to stay in a space that feels like the blood flow is going well, and yeah, that's a good one. What else? It really depends on person by person and their specific thing that they're going through. But there definitely are plants that will help boost testosterone.
Schisandra berries, maybe?
You can do Schisandra berries as an adaptogen. Everybody needs nervines and adaptogens in this world. And so that's always a recommendation. So adaptogens are plants that are helping the body to sustain stressful conditions and supporting the body through those through the stress, so that we can remain healthy through stressful situations and pressure in life.
And what are other practices that you did in your life that made a big shift, that changed and made who you are today, that you believe you can share with us?
Yeah, I think that if I were to like take a bird's eye view on my life, I feel that one of the most important and most transformative practices that I integrated was yoga. Because I was always a very like scattered person in my teens and 20s, and I had like way too much energy. I moved really quickly all the time. That made me very clumsy and not thinking before acting. And once I got on the mat, one of the hardest parts for me was balance poses, because my mind was so active and I was always like thinking about something, and so my stability, I wasn't able to find my stability. And one day my sister came to practice with me, and she said, the reason why you can't balance is because your mind is always on the go. And that was a big realization for me. And so I took that and I made it a very important part of my practice to focus on quieting my mind. And the powerful thing about yoga is that what you do on your mat is a reflection of what happens off the mat. So on the mat, off the mat. Right?
So if you're doing some yoga and you're just all over the place, it means you're not there. Is that what you mean?
I think that like it was a realization of where I was putting my focus, right?
Yeah.
And so yoga really taught me to like be in one place at one time, like to be in the moment and to slow down. And the biggest lesson that I learned was self-compassion. And you have to have that when you do yoga, because it can be a very competitive practice, and it could be you can really injure yourself if you're trying to compete with other people. So understanding where you're at, and that you're not necessarily where everybody else is at, and that this experience is your own journey, and to take your time with it, and to go slow, and to be patient. And so those were all of the things that I learned from practicing yoga regularly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I wanted to drink some tea while we're having this conversation, and today I actually ask you to bring your favorite plant that we can drink together. So I would like you to introduce the herb and say why was what was it your choice today, and yeah.
Okay. So we're drinking stinging nettle leaves, and the reason why I chose this one is because it really, I connected to nettles strongly, and I didn't even know that it grew in Canada before I started herbalism, studying herbalism. It's a plant that we use in Brazil, so it is an ancestral plant for me. And it felt like when I first tried nettles, it was familiar to me. When I tried it here in Canada, it was familiar to me. I felt a very strong connection to the plant. I felt very mothered by it. Like I felt like it was an ancient, wise spirit that was really wanting to be in my life and to support me. And then I learned all the medicine that it offers, and I was like, of course, this makes sense. I'm a person who I've struggled with iron deficiency my entire life, and nettles is a plant that helps to boost iron stores in the body. So that was like, yes, a big yes for me, because if I can get iron to build in my body, or like, red blood cells to sort of be healthy in my body, I'm doing that. Whatever way I need to do it, I'm going to do that. And I tend to lean more into doing like natural alternatives for iron supplements. So it feels better and more organic to me to do it that way. So that was one thing. Also accessing the plant in nature and like harvesting it in the wild, and knowing how to identify it so that I could go and get it myself was also a big inspiration for me, and to learn more, especially about other plants, having understood their physical attributes in order to collect them, but having access to nettles in that way felt really great too. And sometimes it's hard to explain why you're particularly drawn to a specific plant. I know for you it's oat straw.
Yeah, actually nettle and oat straw, both. I always I have both in my life since I started.
Yeah.
But every day I have nettle, and like I have nettle at night and I have oat straw in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And it supports every part of the body, the kidneys,
Yes.
the digestive system, the blood.
Yes.
All the nutrients that it provides, the hair, the skin, the nails,
So powerful.
proteins, really high in proteins, and you can drink it, you can eat it like spinach, you can take a tincture. There's so many ways to work with the plant as well. And I think that it's just the energy of the plant to me felt like very nourishing, very supportive, like a friend.
That's how I feel about it.
Like a strong ally. Like you're part of my life every day, and that's how I'd like to have it. I want you to get to know you more and more.
And I think in South America, it's like a plant that is really, really loved, because I heard that they call it the green goddess. So yeah,
and also nettles. Stinging nettles are they hurt you. If you go into aggressive with nettles, then you get stung, and then the stinging like will last all day. And so it taught me, the plant taught me about boundaries too, and about like not just boundaries with myself, but boundaries with other beings, that I can't just go in and do what I want.
Yes.
With a plant, that I need to respect that they're a living being as well, and to be more gentle. Yeah.
So I took the class with you, you know, during COVID. I took multiple classes, workshops, and you know, I know my journey will never end because we never finish to learn. I know that since I come from a family where my great-grandmother, my grandma, were also, I would say, herbalists, it comes to me naturally to continue that lineage and to share my knowledge in the future. And I want to focus on herbs from Morocco, from you know, my Berber culture. I want to ask you, like, are you planning to, you know, for women who wants to learn like me, to give classes? If anyone wants to get to, you know, I get to teach, like, I mean, take your classes here in Canada. But if anyone of my friends, for example, who live in Morocco or anywhere in the world are interested, would you be interested to maybe go to Morocco and have like a workshop and teach people
Absolutely,
about herbs? And because I think for me, it's like we need to get the message out there, and the fact that a lot of people still don't know what herbalism is and how important it is, especially for us as women, to have it, to have that, you know, baggage, so we can share it with our communities, with our sisters. And also when we come from different culture, I know that, as you said, if we ask our grandmothers and our moms what they were using, it's important to keep that. I'm sure I will have a lot of, you know, women and sisters asking me, so is there a good way to reach out to you? And, you know.
Yeah, so I think that emailing is a nice option. If there's someone who wanted to have a consultation, they could schedule that through my website, layaspaniyoga.com, or send me a message on Instagram, and I can respond with our email address.
I'll add those. I'll add all the information below the video, so everyone can.
Like in this day and age, there's so many ways to connect to people. So I would say just like the easiest, you know, the simplest way for people. I would love to definitely teach everywhere in the world if I could. And I went to Morocco years ago, and I was just like, I wanted to just stay. I'm like, this is my place. I connected so strongly to the land and the people, and I think the roses in Morocco are just like, oh, they just like heart opening and full body expansion. It just felt so good to be there, and I would love to revisit and look at the plants growing there and teach.
So it's going to be on our, you know,
to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also wanted to say, you know, to close the discussion, that me, through my journey from 2019 to today, learning about herbs really shifted my life in a way that I couldn't, you know, imagine. I met you at a moment where I had my spiritual awakening, and I was in a very dark space, and going through all these stages, you know, I see the growth. And especially, I would say that the class that I took with you the past like 9 months really, really changed who I am. How can you say that you, like, what would you say are the changes that you saw also for people maybe to be inspired to go and to try, that you saw within me, within the course? Is there anything specific that, you know, maybe you can share with us?
Within you?
Yes. Since when
I
we
think,
met?
More joy. I feel that you came to understand how important your happiness is, and you really worked to recreate the life that you're desiring and wanting. I saw you smile more. I saw you more focused, more
Yes.
there, more
Yes.
present.
Yeah, I lacked presence. I can say
Yeah.
that. I was always like all over the place, never focused, always thinking, jumping from one thing to the other.
Yeah, I've been there. I was like that too. Yeah, I'm better now.
Yeah.
But I think that like, if you take the time to give yourself these beautiful gifts of like meditation and like sitting with plants and hearing what their messages are, even if you're not like literally hearing what them talk, you feel you can feel their presence in your body and how they're affecting the nervous system. And I think the key to anyone, if anyone wants to make a change in their lives, is to first center their practice around calming and grounding their nervous system.
Yeah.
And once you get there, then the messages that are more that are validating you and your experiences, the messages that you're wanting to hear, the questions that you have, are going to come through in a more powerful way and stronger and louder.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
That's what I call impeccable listening now. You will hear all these thoughts, as I was saying in class, that I hear more and more because I practice, as I told you, all the meditation and that we do, the teas that I discovered through the journey helped me really be more present and hear and be more grounded to whatever, to have more presence and be, taking and paying attention to everything around me. So
yeah, when you're grounded and when your nervous system is not in fight or flight, then it mutes out the noise so that you can hear the real things that are going to be supportive for your life. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I thank you so much for
Thank you.
being part of my first, discussion. I'm so happy. I was thinking and, envisioning this for so many years, but it was never the right time.
Yeah.
And as you are someone, as I mentioned, that really, really helped me through my healing journey, and I'm sure you're my mentor. That's how I always say I look up to you a lot in everything, and I'm very grateful to be part and to have access, to all these, spaces that you created that are magical and that I really want other women to tap in or get the chance to at least, make research about, because it's life-changing. And someone who was really in the dark that is seeing through light now, if I made it, I think everyone can make it. And that's why for me it was important to start about herbalism, because it's something that really changed my life and a lot of people still don't know about. So thank you.
Thank you for having me and as your guest here, and thank you for doing this and bringing this medicine to the world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.